I mean, we experience it every day. We come to work and there are people sleeping on the benches, and when they wake up, many of them are instantly aggressive.
The owner of a local business is spearheading a conversation about finding ways to help those who suffer from mental illness. Hello everybody, welcome to Now on this Wednesday. I'm Lee Goldberg. Amanda is off today. Michaela McVetti is the owner of Sisters Gourmet Deli in Monument Square in downtown Portland. Now a few weeks ago, a man came into the deli and started berating and threatening the workers. McVetti posted the surveillance video on social media to shine light on the problem of mental illness in the city. She says she sees it on a daily basis. The response to that video prompted McVetti to meet with city officials and push for a public meeting on what can be done to help those who are suffering from mental illness.
The amount of people that were so shocked by this video, it showed me that what's happening here in Portland isn't normal, and we shouldn't just keep walking over it. It kind of relaunched me because I've been here for so long and I've just been progressively getting used to it a little bit over time, and it showed me that it is really, really bad in Portland right now, and that we need to kind of jumpstart and go, all right guys, we've ignored this long enough, what can we do?
We have a city that cares about people. We have a city that wants a solution, that recognizes mental illness is something we all have to be willing to talk about and confront.
Not everyone on the street is suffering from the same thing. Not everyone is battling drug addiction. Not everyone's battling mental illness. But we need to start to separate those and go, what services are out there for which groups of people, and what services are we missing entirely? Because right now I think we're either missing some entirely, or the number of beds available is just way too low for the population.
Now that meeting, which started just a few minutes ago, is open to the public, and Mayor Strimling and McVetti will be joined by representatives of DHHS, the city, the police department, local homeless shelters, and numerous other people. All right, joining us now is Jenna Maynard, and she is the executive director of the Maine chapter of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Thank you for taking the time to join us. So you obviously know the story about what happened here at the deli. There's a meeting tonight. How important are things like this to just get that conversation, keep the conversation going?
I think it's really important to keep the conversation going, but the challenge here in Portland, while really significant because of the population density, is really the challenge all over the state. So your viewers who might think, well, that's Portland, and in fact, it's their community too. We really are at a crisis level with our lack of a comprehensive mental health system here in the state of Maine.
I mean, is there a way to track what happened and why this is so prevalent in every community? Is it as simple as homelessness leads to drugs, leads to mental illness, or is that just the easiest way to describe it?
In some ways, it actually starts with a mental health challenge that's not met, that can lead to substance use, which then lead to alienation and homelessness. The challenges really goes back to what do we have as an infrastructure around mental health system in the state. In fact, the crisis agency that serves Portland has half the number of employees they had 3 years ago. So the constant crisis cuts have really reached a crisis level for all of us in terms of no matter whether you're in Lewiston or Portland or Augusta or Bangor, you're going to see a lot of people who are acutely struggling. We would never let people with stage 4 cancer be wandering the streets, but that's what we're doing with mental illness in this state.
And we were talking a little bit before we went on today. I mean, I grew up here. I've never seen so many people struggling for help. So when you come across people like that, or if they come up to you, approach you, what do you do? Because obviously you're a little bit afraid, you're not sure. What can you and should you do?
I think the best thing to do is to try to kind of move through that and say, you know, I'm sorry, I don't have anything to help you with, or to not try to enter into, well, you know, you should go to the shelter, or because you really don't know that person. The vast majority of people with mental illness pose no safety threat. The challenge is illnesses in which psychosis is a symptom. If someone is experiencing delusions or grandeur or persecution, they can have some violent tendencies. Very small percent of individuals, but as a passerby, you have no idea what's going on. Really what we all need to do in meetings like this is have a public outcry that the mental health system is not what it needs to be. It's not what it was 5 years ago in the state of Maine. We're not asking for something that we've never had. We're asking to go back to what we did have.
Well, I guess that might answer the next question, which is, what do you do? It's such a big problem, and it does encompass the entire state. It's not just densely populated cities. What's the easiest, simplest, quickest way to try to fix this thing?
Really to increase access. We at NAMI Maine have watched people who were employed, stable, had housing, go from when their main care was cut off to being unemployed, homeless, all because they lost their medication, they couldn't remain stable. So we need to ensure that there is access to mental health care, that we pay providers a rate that keeps people in the state of Maine, we lose tons of mental health providers to other states where they can just make a decent living. Nobody enters the field of mental health to be rich, but we're losing people in the state of Maine, and we desperately need them here.
All right, Jenna Maynard, thank you very much. And Jenna's going to stay with us through the commercial break for those of you watching us live on Facebook, and she'll answer your questions. I'm sure there are a lot of them, so we'll get to her in the commercial break. But for now, we'll go inside to Keith, who's going to tell us how beautiful it's going to be. Keith, you know what I want to say, right?
Don't say it.
You know what I want to say.
Don't say it, Lee. Wait, there's a moment for you later in the show that I have left for your opening. But yeah, beautiful stretch of weather that is kind of launching today. We do have some cumulus clouds that have popped up in the mountains, and I think we'll see a lot of this over the next couple of days. Generally favorable pattern for sure, but we are going to see some cloud cover develop as a cold pool sets up aloft. Current temperatures relatively mild along the coastline, 78 to 80 degrees, 79 in Bar Harbor. You know what that's all about? Bar Harbor being that warm is the wind. It's out of the west and northwest, so it's in not an onshore flow for once, which, as you know, is relatively rare there. Dew points also come crashing down now into the 50s. Last night, dew points were in the 70s. It was one of the more humid, uncomfortable, and for a lot of us, stormy nights we've had. We won't have that problem tonight. Dew points continue to drop. Overnight lows will go along with it. So we'll drop into the 50s in most spots, and we will see some 40s in places like Berlin, maybe into Freiburg as well. Lee, we'll talk about the big forecast overall, and we're going to see some cool, if not chilly, nights this weekend.
All right, Keith, well, thank you. So cooler days and cooler nights means school is around the corner, and that means when you're in those school zones, you have to slow down, because you might not think it, but even if you're going 1-2 miles an hour over this posted speed limit, it can make a huge difference.
We know you know slow down in school zones. We also know a lot of people don't. So we wanted to show you what it looks like when you speed. We went to the National Highway Transportation Safety Advisory. Two things factor into this equation. The typical reaction time to actually recognize a child running into the road is another 3/4 of a second. Add another 3/4 of a second to hit the brakes, and we're already at 1.5 seconds. So you're going the speed limit in a school zone, 20 miles per hour. In ideal conditions, with dry roads, your car will stop in 63 feet. That's 44 feet for your reaction time, assuming you were alert, and 19 feet for braking distance. Now, if you're speeding, going 30 in a 20, you almost double that. Your car will stop in 119 feet. That is half of a football field. Going 20 over the speed limit in a school zone, your car will stop in 164 feet. The mechanics of your car, the condition of your tires, the conditions of the road all factor into this, proving even more seconds and speed limit count.
All right, that's some very good information, and go slow when you're in those school zones. Still to come on Now.
Acres of land and buy all kinds of little tiny homes and let the homeless be able to have shelter.
What would you do with $700 million? Tonight's Powerball jackpot has Mainers seeing dollar signs. Plus,
good. Works hard. Tough kid out there every day. Good off season. It's a grinder.
Westbrook's very own Trevor Bates is doing well at training camp with the Patriots. Coach Bill Belichick is taking notice. You can tell he is fired up about it. And now we'll be right back.
The Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, big, crazy ideas that turned into multi-million-dollar franchises. But those big ideas would not be possible without big imagination. And sometimes those big imaginations come in small packages. We're about to meet a girl who started writing her first fantasy book series in the 3rd grade.
Okay, 2 clubs goes first.
Stacey Barron and his wife Carrie say their family has always been close, which is why they were surprised to learn their daughter Kira
Elijah pushed the curtain back.
Had been keeping a secret from them.
It was just mind-blowing.
I didn't expect that from someone as young as she is.
Kira, now 17, was in 8th grade at the time. And behind closed doors, usually after school and late at night, she would sit at the computer and dive deep into her own world.
I've always wanted to, so why not now? And so I did. I sat down and I just wrote a book.
Never mind that most middle schoolers dread English homework. For 7 months, Kira wrote
2 or 3 pages a night.
Until she completed a 2-part fantasy novel at the age of 14.
I just knew in my mind that I wanted to do it, but I didn't expect that I was going to do it so young. When I'm writing, I'm like totally immersed into it.
This whole idea started in about the 3rd grade. Kira had read books like The Hobbit and figured somehow she could create her own fantasy world.
And
Kira's brother was the main editor.
We would hear them discuss it.
Yeah, discuss the story plot.
They would talk about it, and we knew something was up.
as we were leaving the bay,
They got the book published,
stretched up the masts.
and so far the reviews have been overwhelmingly positive.
There's nothing to do in the time.
In fact,
while he was speaking,
it's inspired Kira to turn the page to her next project,
opened the hatch on the deck and clambered
a trilogy.
I've discovered that I want to keep on doing this.
And if life before high school is any indication, whatever comes next is going to be one good chapter.
We've constructed temporary cabins, Cerullian explained.
That was Sean Giggy reporting from Dallas. News Center Now will be right back with a full check of the weather.
Mainers are not immune to Powerball fever. The jackpot is $700 million, and the drawing is tonight. And I've been out all day talking to Mainers about what they would do with the money. There's been a steady stream of purchasers here at Joe's Smoke Shop. I know I've seen a lot of people come in and out requesting their Powerball tickets. Now, of course, $700 million is a life-changing amount of money, to say the least. And I wanted to know what you would do with it, so I asked Mainers and financial experts for advice. Hear that? That's the sound that a chance at $700 million makes.
Gonna win that Powerball.
There are so many ways to spend the jackpot.
Yeah, I'll get a place up in Northern Maine.
From real estate.
I would buy a great big house for my family and friends to all move in.
To leisure.
I would take David and we'd go on a golf trip.
Doing something good.
I'd give half of it to charity.
Or doing nothing at all.
I'm not really sure what I'd do with the rest.
But as you fill in those tiny squares, remember what Biggie said, more money, more problems.
More often than not, winning the lottery ends up being the worst thing that could happen to you.
Financial experts say a lot of people who win big end up broke in 3 to 5 years because they don't know how to manage all that money. They say saving your winnings starts with staying quiet and getting professional help.
Don't let anyone know that you just won the lottery until you have a very good plan in place.
And don't make any big decisions until that plan's in place.
You can make more money by taking the jackpot up front, but if you tend to spend, it might be smarter to take the yearly payout.
If you blow it in 1 year, you just have to wait till the next year, then you get another little chunk.
Making the most of your dough so you can make your daydreams come true. Now, say you do win tonight's huge jackpot. Just how much money is $700 million? We did the math. All you have to do is match the 5 white balls and the red Powerball to win the jackpot. You need a lot of space to store all those dollar bills. In fact, the stack of $700 million bills would be taller than the Statue of Liberty. It would also be taller than the Washington Monument and the Empire State Building, even the famous Burj Khalifa Tower in Dubai. A stack of $700 million $1 bills would stretch 250,833 feet. That's enough to stretch from Washington, D.C. past Baltimore, 47.5 miles in all. Of course, that's before taxes. Now, Chris and Keith, I was thinking about how I would spend the money, and I think what I would do is pay off all of the houses that everybody in my family has. So they might be really happy to have me as a family member.
Wow, that's sweet. Good news, I don't think they pay that out in once. So the calculations we did, probably, we were just talking about that's enough money to legitimately do nothing. Some of the in-between jackpots are like you might be able to get by, but you might get nervous. Like if you live too long.
If you live, and if you live too large in that short period of time with all that money, right?
I saw a guy on House Hunters. They just won the lottery, $3 million, and he was buying a $400,000 house. And I was like, that guy gets it. You know, he's not like he's not all in early on.
Exactly. You know, very interesting. I just wanted to bring in this real quick. Had a couple of viewers who said they would do some charitable things with this. They'd buy a large farm with a lot of acreage to help troubled kids, let them live and work on the farm. That's Fred. And Deborah says she would buy tons of land where she can rescue animals if she won the lottery. And hey, Keith, you're an animal lover.
Yeah, you'd have to do some charity for sure. I mean, that's a lot of money to not do at least a little charity with it. All right, beautiful day out there. A couple of high, thin clouds in the mountains. 80 right now, or 80 for a high in Portland, I should say 80 in Rockland, 79 in Bar Harbor. It just felt a lot nicer though, right, today as dew points come crashing down. A lot drier air mass with dew points in the 40s. And this is something that we're going to get used to now for the next 5 or 6 days. The humidity of last night is gone for a while, and once high pressure builds in, it will stay pretty dry. So we don't have a lot of features on our weather map, which is immensely boring for me as a weatherman, but generally good for people being outside, because we've got just a few clouds coming through Thursday and Friday, and I've gone a little bit more pessimistic than even the computer models tell me on those 2 days, because I think there will be some cumulus clouds obscuring the sun at times Thursday and Friday. But Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, big ridge of high pressure comes in place. Overnight lows are chilly, but we're pretty much sunny through that entire time period with highs in the low 70s, maybe some mid 70s here and there. So here we are tomorrow morning, temperatures drastically cooler than this morning and a lot more comfortable in the 50s. You can see the clouds popping up, and I think Thursday and Friday we have just a small chance for a shower in the mountains. I didn't put it in the 7-day forecast because I think it's such a small percentage of Maine that sees it that it would be misleading to put it in there. But you can see them popping up tomorrow afternoon. And then Friday we start in the 50s. We do the same thing again, some clouds in the afternoon and an isolated mountain shower. But this weekend, it's not chilly, but it is noticeably cool. Saturday morning, Sunday morning. In fact, here's your temperature trend and my call to action to roll out the pumpkin beers. They're probably already out there, but we're going to be in the 40s here for the next couple of mornings. And I know people like to get ahead of themselves. I like stout, so I'm looking for that whole transition season. But look at this, Chris. I mean, you don't get too many days, rolls like this in Maine where you're straight through for about 6 or 7 days.
Yeah, gorgeous.
With beautiful, beautiful weather.
So I was going to ask you, charity aside and all that, what your first purchase would be if you did win that jackpot. It sounds like it might be like a home brewing system.
No. You know what? I think I'm a real estate guy. I think I would go in pretty heavy down here, particularly over southern Maine, with buying a bunch of stuff. For a number of reasons. You could help yourself, your family out, and also I just think we're in a good spot with it. The lighting in the set is great. Look at my teeth. Look at that.
I can't even. All right, well, we want to know what you would do. Weigh in on our Facebook live stream. What would you do if you won that jackpot? Personally, season tickets to the Patriots. Lee Goldberg, you know all about that.
Yeah, I'll be sitting next to you because that's what I'm doing with my money too, Coco. So Bill Belichick, he has press conferences pretty much every day. Sometimes he says a couple of things that people care about. Basically, it's usually pretty vanilla. Today, he talked about Maine's very own Trevor Bates during his weekly press conference.
Again, tough kid. Shown some, but we played him off the line of scrimmage. But it's shown that versatility. Plays in the kicking game. These are the kind of games that are important for a player like him to have the opportunity to play in, evaluate against other good competition.
All right, there you go. We heard from Coach talking about Trevor, who hopefully makes that 53-man roster, Chris.
All right, Lee, thanks so much. Cindy Williams here now with a look at what's coming up on News Center at 5:30.
I get to join you at the big desk.
Yeah.
We'll do it. That Vaz-built destroyer that crashed off the coast of Japan, collided with another ship, will not be coming back to Maine for repairs. What that could mean for the shipbuilders and what our congressional delegation is hoping to do about that. And the machete-wielding creepy clown arrested in Hollis pleaded not guilty to criminal threatening today. He says it was all a prank. The terrified neighbors say they weren't laughing about this. We're going to have those stories and more coming up for you in the next half hour. I'd be scared.
Yeah. Generally not advisable to involve machete in any way in your life.
Not funny.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much. And we want to warn you now that our Channel 6 over-the-air customers will be without News Center for a bit tomorrow. We have to replace a light on our tower so a plane doesn't hit it. That means DirecTV, Dish, and over-the-air viewers will lose signal from about 12:30 until 5 p.m. tomorrow. Cable customers will be just fine, and so will anyone who watches us on Channel 2. This is only for Channel 6. We'll be right back with Braindrops.
Welcome back, everybody, outside City Hall in Portland. The reason we're here, in case you missed it at the top of our show, there's a meeting going on right now, really a public conversation about the topic of mental illness. It's certainly an issue all across our state. There was a specific incident earlier this month in downtown Portland. Business owner Michaela McVetti owns Sisters Gourmet Deli and had an incident with someone who's suffering from mental illness. So she's taken it upon herself to reach out to the city, try to start the conversation about what can be done. So that meeting, which is open to the public, a lot of people have been pouring in, started about 5 o'clock, should last a couple of hours. We'll stay here throughout, and we'll have updates for you coming up tonight on News Center at 6 o'clock and, of course, at 11 as well. But now, guys, let's go back to you.
All right, Lee, thanks so much. Hey, if you were on the internet at all today, you probably saw that Taylor Swift has a new album coming out. And in case you're living under a rock, here's how it happened. Yesterday, Taylor posted videos of what looks like a snake on her social media accounts. Fans think that's some type of hint. And today she announced that her new single will drop tomorrow called Reputation, with her album releasing in November. This is her first album in 3 years, and naturally, Swifties are rejoicing.
How did she, I didn't realize she has Taylor Swift 13. She can't get just at Taylor Swift. You don't think that?
You know, maybe if she won the Powerball jackpot, she could just buy that out.
Maybe. I'm not a huge T-Swift fan, but I know a lot of people are very excited about that. All right, today's Braindrops is just kind of a fun one, right? I went all heavy on you yesterday. I won't do that to you every day. Google Trends are really interesting, especially after big events that everybody shared in. So take a look at some of the Google search trends yesterday, including the terms eyes hurt. Look what happened after the eclipse. The eyes hurt, all of a sudden, took a huge spike upward. And it gets more specific than that, too. If we scroll down, it's staring at the sun. And I stared at the sun for a few seconds. This is right up there with I have this friend who has a rash kind of thing. I mean, we're in the same territory here. Like, theoretically, if I stared at the sun like an idiot without the glasses, what would happen to me? This is pretty funny stuff. Look, it dropped off though, so that's good.
I guess so, yeah.
Unless it's because they couldn't see the screen anymore, in which case it didn't work out for them. I looked at the sun for a few seconds. That one took a spike and then went down as well.
You'd think with all the warnings, people would know.
One of those actually came from Pennsylvania Avenue, I think. I stared at the sun for a few seconds. Is that bad for my eyes?
That's all for News Center now at 5 o'clock. News Center at 5:30 starts right now. You got me all messed up.